Okay, so while Nikola Topic was originally picked last year's draft, guess what? This is his first year in the NBA, so let's take a look at how he plays so that we can get an idea of what he's going to be able to bring to the NBA. Well, first off, I really want to break this down because he has great defensive instincts right here. I'm going to put this into slow motion. This pass was somewhat telegraphed, but at the same time, it was a fairly long half court to point pass. The receiver's head was not looking down court, so that gives Nikola Topic the option to, or the opportunity to steal this ball. That's what he was able to do and go down the opposite direction so that his team is able to score. One thing that you do notice about European players is they are absolute masters in the screen and roll. So coming off of the screen and roll right here, his man tries to fight over top. If we are to zoom in right here, it's kind of blurry to be able to see, but Nikola Topic gets his shoulder and upper chest into the chest of that defender. That gives him a little bit of leverage as his shoulders are lower than that defender, and he's able to fight that man off quite well. They didn't get a switch, and they also were able to keep full coverage between Nikola Topic and the screener. In this case, Nikola Topic tried to attack his man, which he was successfully able to do by being aggressive. Remember, you will always be rewarded for being aggressive. If you want to be a better player, or if you just want to have more playing time, being more aggressive is going to allow you to be able to be on the court more. Most coaches love it when players try to attack the rim because that gets the ball into the paint, which then collapses the defense. As long as you score when you're still in single coverage, if you get multiple defenders who come in and try and play defense on you, that's when you have to kick it out so that you're not classified as a so-called ball hog. But in reality, you should not be scoring on 3 players. You should be kicking it out to the open opportunity. However, in this case, he is still in single coverage when he attacked that key, and then he was able to finish at the rim. If you're a player, this is how he was able to do it. So by attacking that top foot, which is right here, the arm that's reaching as well, is a good indication as to what side you should be attacking. He gets his shoulder into the chest of the defender. That makes that defender turn his hips towards the baseline. As soon as that happens, Nikola Topic does a quick spin move because anytime a defender is facing the direction you're going, you want to go in the complete opposite direction. This should be able to get you the lane to the basket. Off arm kind of helps out here as well. And he was able to finish at the rim by getting in front of his defender. You always want to try and seal the man behind you, as we can see right here, so that you're able to score. So this is great defense by his teammate right here by diving on the floor. You always want to be aggressive, especially if you're in a situation like the NBA Summer League. You need to dive for the ball. Being able to dive for the ball and risking your body is going to be able to help you land a contract. However, his teammate's able to get that ball, passes it to Nikola Topic, which now, obviously, he's going down court. He's got his head up, scanning the surroundings of where he is going. Now, in general, you always want to try and advance the ball as long as it's a safe pass to be able to advance. Now, he's able to advance right here because this is a 3-on-2 situation, which means that there's going to be somebody open. That's what we see on that far sideline. And Nikola Topic lands the advanced bounce pass, or the advanced pass, which was a bounce pass, to his teammate, who was then able to pull up for that 3-point shot and makes it. Now, is that a great opportunity to shoot a 3 in transition? Well, he made it, so of course it is, but at the high school level, you're expected to generally get to the rim unless you're just a deadly 3-point shooter. This is also not the high school level, this is the NBA level, so taking that 3-point shot is expected. Obviously, he could have drove and kicked it out to this man who was calling for the pass, but either way, the ball went into the basket, and that's all that counts. This was actually a really smart read, so I really wanted to point it out. So he gets that screen, he goes over top of that screen. At this time, his man goes under the screen. Now, generally speaking, if your man goes under the screen, you want to pull up for the 3-point shot because it's generally going to be open. And that's what he starts to do right here. However, the gap defender on this side starts to play in on the roll man. No matter how this works, whether it's gap that moves in or help that moves in and gap that drops, anytime there's a wing 2-point screen, the opposite wing is sometimes wide open. And if that's the case as it is this time, you can get some easy assists with that skip pass across, which is what Nikola Topic was able to do here for that 3-point shot. Now, Nikola Topic was able to get that ball on the sideline in this next play, and if you're a player who is in transition, this is something that if you want to be able to be very useful for your team, try to get that ball into the paint. If you can get that ball into the paint, you are going to be collapsing a ton of defenders, and when that happens, you're going to have opportunities. Generally speaking, you don't always want to stop in transition and call a play. This is not something that you want to do. What you want to do is to be able to play a little bit of freelance to be able to push the pace. Now, by getting that ball into the paint, as Nikola Topic did right here, he was able to collapse multiple defenders. While, yes, he did have the open lane to the basket, and if this was one of my players, I would have full well expected him and wanted him to finish at the rim because he has that lane. He was still able to kick that ball out to the corner for the open, generally somewhat open 3-point shot that went in. So while this gives him the assist, he could have still ended up with 2 points. However, now by kicking that ball out, this now can open up more lanes for you to drive in because now they're expecting you to kick it out. They're not going to be collapsing on you, and then you're going to be able to get some wide open layups. So he gets a steal right here, which is fantastic. Kind of a gimme steal anyways. However, in this transition, one-on-one opportunity, when he's coming down court, I really want to show you what he does versus what I would suggest for you and obviously him to be able to do. So I'm going to put it into slow motion. He kind of stops on his right foot, and he finishes that layup. There was no foul call at all because he just went up for that quick one-leg layup. If I was coming down and somebody was riding my hip as his defender is doing right here, what I would have done is I would have ended my dribble right here on my left foot. I would have come to a 2-foot stop. I would have stopped for just a millisecond because this guy is behind me. So by stopping for just a millisecond until he makes contact with me and then going up for that layup, I would still make the layup as we see Nikola Topic do right here. However, at the same time, the hit that he endured would have been called a foul because he would have been owning his ground instead of just going off of one leg where he doesn't necessarily own the ground that he is on. He only owns the land that he is about to land on, so there was no foul call. Especially with a shot clock that is dwindling down, you are expected, this is Nikola Topic, to be able to hit threes. Catch and shoot threes. If you can't hit catch and shoot threes, you're probably not going to make the NBA. So what does he do right here? They get that kick out pass. Again, drive, kick. One of the most used strategies worldwide, especially in the NBA. He's able to catch left, right. That's perfect footwork. Left foot, right foot because he's a right-handed player. So right foot hits the ground last. That gets his right side in line. And then he's able to pull for that shot. Still slightly covered, but he's able to make it because it's a rhythm shot. He's stepping into it. He didn't have to change his speed, so it's basically wide open. Again, another catch and shoot, basically catch and shoot. He does take a dribble into it, a little bit of a hesitation, but again, just a rhythm shot that he's able to make. Now, if you want more basketball IQ and you want to become a smart basketball player, make sure to go check out the shooting guard blueprint that is down in the description below. If you want to become a better shooting guard, that is going to be able to help you, not just with basketball IQ, but also 8 weeks of training so that you can get stronger and more skilled. So definitely go check that out. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you guys again in my next video.